Hey everyone, it is Adam Winnick here, and I'm with the lovely Mandy Keene. You guys are going to hear from her in just a second. I just want to make sure that everybody, you guys can hear us okay. Can you see us? So if you would, we're going to get started. This is going to be a super powerful session here with Mandy. I'm going to introduce her in just a second. Would you guys let us know just in the chat box over to the right, would you let us know that you can hear us, that the audio is working correctly, that you
Hello,
can see
hello.
us?
You can hear me too?
Yeah, yep, I can hear you, Mandy.
Cool.
How about you guys that are listening? We want to make sure that you guys can hear. So if you would, please go into the chat box and just let us know. And okay, you can see me. Yeah, sound, you look good. Great, cool. Right on, everybody. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to introduce Mandy. She's going to take it away. So I was just talking to Mandy, and she's saying this is not going to be your typical goal setting workshop. This is going to be a goal achieving workshop because she's saying that anybody can set a goal, but we're on this workshop right here today to achieve goals, which is awesome. So Mandy has actually, you've been a coach since you were 20 years old, correct? I think I remember you saying that one time.
5 years ago. No, yeah. Yeah, no, back 1999.
Yeah, I love it, love it. So she's one of the very best in the life and business coaching world. She was a Tony Robbins coach for many years, worked alongside Tony Robbins, which we all know and love. She also started her own company called Results in Coaching, and I got a chance to meet her at our Inner Circle Mastermind in Boise a few months back, and she's coaching all of our Inner Circle that I'm a part of with Russell Brunson. And it's amazing. Every time I talk to her, I get like huge breakthroughs. So I know that's going to happen for all of you guys. So perk up, listen, get your notes out, pay attention. Mandy's here with us, and this is going to be really awesome. So thank you so much, Mandy, for being on here. We're all excited, and I'll throw it over to you.
Thank you, Adam. I appreciate that. It's an honor to be here with you and everyone. I have tremendous respect for your charismatic, amazing leader, Adam, and I'm excited for all of you to be here. It's a perfect time because psychologically, when we're winding down 2016, we want to be able to reflect and acknowledge, what worked well and what we've accomplished, and then really gearing up and setting ourselves up to win for 2017. So I'm excited to have this conversation with all of you. And like Adam mentioned, this is about goal achieving. Anybody could set goals. I know you guys don't care about being good goal setters. You want to be awesome goal achievers. And what I've learned over the past 18 plus years in working with people and studying with people, like Adam said, I've had the privilege and honor of working with Tony Robbins, meeting and working with people like Bob Proctor and Brian Tracy, Brendan Bouchard. And I'm going to give you guys a little secret here that most people don't know. And that is, there's a lot out there that these incredible gurus share in regards to goal achieving that sounds really cool when they're on stage in front of thousands of people, or if you've read, some of the best New York Times best-selling books on goal achieving or results or anything like that, or time management. What I've experienced as a coach is a lot of that isn't applicable. So you might be going, well, what do you mean by that, Mandy? A lot of it sounds really good, or it sounds sophisticated, and our ego, it's human nature, our ego likes to complicate things. So we tend to like complicated processes. We think it's cool. So I share this with you that I actually have to give credit and thanks to my coaching clients over the past 18 years, because it's them who have taught me this 5-step goal achieving process that I'm going to go over with you, because this is what actually works. So if you are familiar with the coaching industry, being a professional coach, you're coaching someone one-on-one, your job is literally on the line if your client doesn't win the game, if your client doesn't get the result that they want. So I'm sure if you guys are into sports, like you're an NFL coach, they know that they're going to get fired if their team doesn't win, right? So they got to do everything that they know how to do as a coach to make sure their team wins. Well, that's the same thing with us personal and professional one-on-one coaches. We have to really use the tools on our tool belt that we know is going to help our clients win the game, get the results that they want. And so I share that with you because I invite you to be super curious and excited during this process that I'm going to go over with you, because I'm going to warn you, a lot of what I'm going to cover is so simple, and it's really simple and basic. And again, sometimes our ego goes, oh, Mandy, I've heard that before, but have you used it? That's my question for you. Have you implemented it? So for some of you, this might be new material. For some of you, if you've already been to, personal development seminars or you've read books on goal setting, some of this might be a reminder, but I really encourage you to take this material in as if you're hearing it for the first time and ask yourself, have I really, truly taken this concept seriously? Okay, sound good? If you guys could engage with me, I want to make sure you're listening. I like to have engagement, so write in the question box, that sounds good. You're going to be curious and excited. Let's do this, McCord Bowman. Awesome. Thank you. Cool. Stoked. I like that. I love that word, stoked. Woohoo, Steven. Okay. So in getting started, what I'd love for you to do is you take out your notepad and you got your pen ready. And I'd like for you to take notes. And there's going to be certain ways of taking notes I'm going to recommend. Some of it might not make sense, but if you could just trust the process. So I'm going to be going over a 5-step goal achieving process, and I'd like for you to write down the acronym COACH, C-O-A-C-H. So that's the 5-step achieving process that we're going to be going over. COACH, C-O-A-C-H. So the first step in achieving any goal is the first C, which I'd like for you to write down: create an inspiring vision. Create an inspiring vision. One of my favorite quotes is by Jim Rohn, and Jim Rohn says, with any goal, you need to begin with the end in mind. You need to begin with the end in mind. Many of us, we try and think about how we're going to achieve it before we actually set the real goal. Well, with creating an inspiring vision, this is more than setting a goal. For example, let's say you have the goal of making $1 million for 2017. That's great. That's a goal, but that's not emotional, is it? Like setting the goal of, I want to weigh this much amount, or I want to be engaged to the man of my dreams or the woman of my dreams, or again, I want to achieve $1 million. That's great. But what we want to do is we want to create a compelling and inspiring vision. So create an inspiring vision. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that right now. Many of you have probably heard about the power of imagining what you want. Einstein said our minds don't know the difference between what's real and imaginary. So how can we use that? We can use that by creating a very specific, inspiring vision. So what I invite you to do is, this is going to be part of your homework after we're done today, is you're going to want to create an inspiring movie scene of, let's say, you achieving this goal. So since many of you, I know Adam shared with me that you are entrepreneurs, business owners, so I'm going to give you some examples. You could use this in your personal life as well. But let's say you have the goal of making $1 million in 2017. So now what you want to do is you want to create a movie scene that would depict the result of that $1 million. So, for example, it could be at the end of the year and it's a movie scene where you're celebrating with your team, let's say. Or I had a client one time where he created such a really cool movie scene of him going to a CPA and, discussing the numbers and made it real. And it's like, okay, this really happened. I went to my CPA, I had to do my taxes, and this was the number. So it's like creating a movie scene that would only happen if you achieved your result. Now, here's a couple of tips on creating an inspiring movie scene. You don't need to be a Hollywood screenwriter to do this and to do this well. And this is really personal to you. You need to create a movie scene that it ignites you emotionally. So I'm sure many of you have heard you need to know the power of your why, right? How many of you guys have heard that, knowing the power of your why? Oh, Mike! I didn't know Mike's on here. Let's go, baby. So if you've heard before, yes, you know the power of your why. Yes, Stephen gets it. So here's a trick, you guys, on marrying your goal, your vision with your why. Is in your vision, you want to have your why in your vision. What do I mean by that? I'll share with you a personal example. So in 2013, I ended a relationship, and I decided I wanted to finally meet the man of my dreams. Like, I was tired of dating the kind of guys I was dating, and I really wanted to meet my soulmate, my true love, the man of my dreams. And part of my why for that, you've also heard that we tend to do more for others than we will for ourselves. It's human nature. Even the most selfish people out there, they'll still do more for others than we will for ourselves. So in your why, usually your why has to do with someone else, right? Like if you guys have kids, a spouse. For me, it was my niece Savannah. So I have 3 nieces and 3 nephews. My oldest is Savannah, and she's like a daughter to me. And so part of my why is I had all these relationships that, to be dead honest with you guys, I wasn't a good role model for my niece Savannah as far as what a good relationship, a happy, healthy relationship looked like. So I created this really cool movie scene of marrying the man of my dreams, and it was my wedding day, and I'm in my beautiful wedding dress, and my niece Savannah comes up to me, and she's one of my bridesmaids, and she thanks me for giving her a relationship goal, for being an example, because that was my why. So what you want to do in your movie scene is you want to incorporate your why, because that's going to do 2 things. Number 1 is it's going to keep you emotionally associated to your goal. The number 1 reason why people fail to achieve their New Year's resolutions, right? We coaches say that it's only amateurs that set New Year's resolutions, because when you are a professional goal achiever, which by the end of our workshop today, you guys are going to be professional goal achievers because you're going to know what it takes, you're going to know what works, is you want to be consistently emotionally associated to why you want it. Right? So how do we do that is we create the why in your vision. And the number 1 reason why people, like you go to a New Year's Eve party and they're talking about their New Year's resolution, chances are really high that by Valentine's Day, they forgot even their goal and they're not associated to their why. So part of your homework is to create a movie scene of you achieving this goal. And to take some notes, you're going to want to be like, what do you see? Be very specific about what you see. So like my client who wanted to achieve $1 million, like he described how his CPA looked. So when he described the movie scene to me, I felt like I was there. I felt like I knew what his short, bald CPA guy looked like. And so what do you see? What do you hear? And so like what are people saying in your movie scene? What are the sounds that you hear? What do you feel? So, and this is both emotionally, like what do you feel emotionally? You feel inspired, I feel elated, I feel confident. What are the emotions? But also like there might be some texture as far as like how does the seat feel? Or I have clients who want to become professional speakers, and so they talk about, how it feels holding the mic. So what do you feel like creating it, making it alive? Now, after you do that, what you want to do is you want to write yourself a future letter, where you're going to be saying, so like, Dear Mike, Dear Steven, Dear Logan, and it's a letter from the future you. And you're describing this movie scene in a letter. And this letter, honestly, guys, it doesn't need to be a Shakespearean novel. It doesn't need to be a 3-hour movie. It's honestly should be 1 page, maybe front and back, maybe. Most of my clients, myself included, it's usually 1 page. And here's what you want to do. This is really powerful. If you get anything out of our workshop together, if you just get this one thing, this will be a game changer for many of you, because we get what we focus on. Is you write this letter, and then you put it by your bedside, and you read it first thing when you wake up in the morning, and first thing before you go to bed at night. Our minds are most impressionable right when we wake up and right before we go to bed. Because if you think about it, if you study most religions and spiritual practices, don't they usually have rituals right when you wake up and right before you go to bed? There's a reason for that. There's wisdom in that. Our mind is much like a child's mind right when we wake up and right before we go to bed. And so that's so important what you're putting in your mind right when you wake up in the morning, right before you go to bed. I had a client share with me that he put his letter right in his bathroom, because he's like, Mandy, I get up and I go to the bathroom. He's like, you know what? Whatever works. What's important is that you're feeding your mind that right away. And very
Hey man,
quickly,
can I interject for a second and ask you a
yeah,
question?
please do, Adam.
I know you're on a roll and I love it. This is really powerful. I want to make sure everyone gets this. So the letter, give us like a couple sentence example of like how the letter should be written. Like let's say take the example of somebody that wants to earn $1 million. Like how does that go? Dear Adam.
So, dear Adam, you did it. You
Ah,
grossed $1 million, and like this, it's better than you expected. I just want to share with you about something that's recently happened, and then you go into a story of the movie scene. You know, you were at your parents' house and you logged on your computer and you showed your mom and dad, you know, your bank balance. And, you know, your mom, you know, dropped to her knees and started crying. It's like, then you've got to share a movie scene. Because if you just write the letter, Adam, congratulations, you did it. You achieved $1 million, bro. It's not going to be emotional, right? So then you say, you know, dear Adam, you did it, the goal. And I just want to share with you how awesome this is. This is better than you've even imagined, that you even expected. And then you share your movie scene, and then any advice that you know you need to give yourself. So like, for example, for me, my future letter right now, so excuse me, part of Adam asked me what's my goal for 2017, and I'm writing a book with my business partner, and it's going to be a bestseller. And so part of it is we have a movie scene for our book launch, and I'm giving myself advice to stay focused, because I know that my kryptonite would be, oh, I want to do this and I want to do that, right? Adam, you can relate to that. Being an entrepreneur, we all tend to have that where we can easily get distracted. So my advice from the future Mandy is to stay focused and to really honor my block time, which I'm going to get to here in a minute. So is that helpful? Does that make sense?
100%. That is fantastic. Thank you so much.
Cool. Yeah, interject anytime that I'm going off and you want some more clarity. Yeah, don't, yeah, interrupt, interject. So
Right on.
that would be everyone's homework assignment, Adam, I give them, is that they need to write their future letter, and in that letter is the movie scene. And what quickly happens, just so you guys know, is you want to keep your letter by your bedside, or, you know, like my client in the bathroom, whatever works, still physically there, because within less than a week, you're going to have that letter memorized. So you could probably like, have you ever seen a movie so many times where if someone tells you the movie, it's like you just played it in your head in 30 seconds? That's what's going to happen. You're not going to really need to take the time to actually read your letter. You're just going to look at that piece of paper and you're going to know it. And that's great, because that means it's starting to download in your unconscious mind. And just like going back to Einstein, our brain doesn't know the difference between real and imaginary, that your unconscious mind thinks that that's really going to happen. And that's what we want to happen. The unfortunate mistake that many of us had is we have really crummy movies playing in our unconscious mind, and then we wonder why our reality never changes. Your unconscious mind is like Spock. It's like a robot. It doesn't have a sense of humor. It's not sarcastic. So it's going to give you what you're giving it. So this is a way to interrupt the pattern of your unconscious mind, of your stories that you've been telling yourself, with really focusing on a juicy emotional movie scene. Does that make sense? Okay, Steven says yes. Cool. Philip asks, is this technique you recommend using for short term? Absolutely. Philip, you can use this. You can use this as, I have many clients that set 90-day goals. So they write a letter from the future Philip 90 days from now, and I have clients that set 5-year goals. So 1 to 3, absolutely. Stephen, thank you. Awesome. Paul, great example. All right. Record, yes ma'am. Awesome. Okay. So now that you've got your vision, now that we've created an inspiring vision, you're focused on it, you got your future letter, now we need to move on to O. So the O stands for omit the stories. Omit the stories. So you guys are probably familiar with, like, you know, I know you are, Adam, with the stories that we tell ourselves. So for example, I'm too old, I'm not smart enough, I didn't go to college, I'm not pretty enough, whatever it may be, the stories that we tell ourselves. So we want to omit those limiting stories, and we want to replace them. So the first step with omitting the stories is you got to get gut-wrenching, dead honest with yourself. So I'll be vulnerable with all of you because I really want to serve you and help each of you grow and achieve the goals that you want. So I had a story before I met the man of my dreams that I was a magnet for narcissistic men. And because I had a lot of relationships with narcissistic men, I'm like, oh my gosh, like that was my story. And even though I was a coach and I knew better, like I really believed that there was this chip inside me that was a magnet. And so I had to change my story. And so one of the most powerful things that you can do to change your story is get real life examples of other people who you can relate to who had the similar issue that you did and overcame it and now has the results that they want. Right? This works in selling us anyways, right? Adam, you know this when it comes to infomercials. You watch an infomercial, it's like, I weighed this much, now I'm hot in a bikini, or, you know, I used to live in the basement with my mom, and now I got this pool and this yacht. It's like they tell stories that people can relate to, and now they have the results that they want. Well, this works with our own stories as well. And so what you want to do is you want to first become dead honest with yourself about what is the story that's holding you back for achieving your goal. So, for example, I had a client years ago who she had the story that she would always be bankrupt because she was 40 years old and she had filed bankruptcy already twice in her life. And she invested in coaching with me because she still had the desire to be a millionaire, yet she had this really stubborn, stuck story of she's going to die bankrupt because that was her past experience. And it's human nature to look in the past. It's human nature. But what we can do instead of focusing on the past is we have to replace it with a different story. So I gave my client the homework assignment that I'm going to give all of you, is I told her she needed to find 3 other people that also filed bankruptcy more than once that are now millionaires. And guess what? There's actually a lot of them. And she did that, and she had to get this story. And you need to not just kind of have the Cliff Notes version. You really need to know like what they went through and being able to share the story like at a dinner table and be able to go, hey, did you guys hear about so-and-so? You know, they were in 2010, they filed bankruptcy, blah, 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 blah. And then in 2013, they became a millionaire, blah, 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 blah. You want to be able to recount the story. So when you hear the story, when you learn about this story, it actually inspires you. And there might be a part of you, if you feel like a little nervous when you're learning the story, that's a good sign. It's like an emotional mental detox where you're going, ooh, I may have been wrong about my story. So you start to doubt that certainty that you felt like, you know, I'm too old, or I'm not good enough, or I filed bankruptcy, or I've always dated narcissistic guys, or whatever it may be. When you hear a story of someone that had a similar pain and story that you had and overcame it and now has the result that you want, it rocks your world. Again, we're talking about the unconscious mind. Your unconscious mind goes, oh, okay, I didn't realize, okay, we're going to input that as a new possibility. So I hope that makes sense. I would love to support each of you. Your homework assignment is to find 3 real-life true heroes that had a similar story that you did, a similar pain that you have, and now has the result that you want. And their story inspires you. And for you to start practicing sharing that story with your family, your friends, when you're out, you know, if you guys are going out for New Year's Eve, it's great New Year's Eve party, stories to talk about people that, you know, were financially destitute, now they're millionaires, people that were overweight, now they've got their dream body, whatever it may be. So everyone committed to getting 3 real-life stories that are going to be the antidote to your false story that's holding you back. Please put in the chat box, yes, going to do it. Awesome. All right, Mike, Andrew, David, awesome. Stephen, Philip, Paul, cool. Logan, awesome. That's going to help you with these next steps, because the next steps I'm going to be going over are more tactical. These first 2 steps are more about, you know, what's going on between our ears. It's more psychological. And so we really can't go to these next 3 phases of the goal achieving process until we handle the first 2. So now that you've done this, now that you've got a great, inspiring vision, you're excited about it, you got your movie scene, it gets you pumped, it gets you emotional, it's associated with your why you're doing this, and you've omitted your story because now you've replaced it with the truth. You've replaced it with what's really possible. Now you're ready for A, which is assess your strengths and weaknesses. Assess your strengths and weaknesses. So there's an awesome book that I highly, highly recommend all of you read, because it's a game changer psychology wise for, you know, really understanding who you are and what your natural strengths are. And it's called Now Discover Your Strengths by Marcus Buckingham. Marcus Buckingham, if you guys aren't familiar with him, he's like the Tony Robbins of corporate America. So he's gone into all these corporations and he's helped CEOs of Fortune 500 companies become very productive and efficient. And what he discovered is there were so many people that didn't know what their natural strengths are, because honestly, we're not taught this in school. And what Marcus talks about in his book, Now Discover Your Strengths, is we're all wired for different things. Like, we're not supposed to be a jack of all trades. Like, I love coaching. You could tell I'm really passionate about it, but you would never want me to be your Uber driver because I am not good with directions. So we all have our strengths and we all have our weaknesses, and owning them is what's going to make us that much more effective when it comes to achieving our goals. And so you want to be crystal clear on what are your natural strengths and what are your weaknesses, so you know how to leverage them. And in his book, he gives you a code to be able to take this assessment called the Strengths Finder, which I highly recommend you all take, because it gives you tremendous clarity on, like, what are your top 5 and what are your top 10 strengths. Because what you want to do is you want to live in those strengths at least 80% of the time. The mistake and the reason why people flounder, especially when it comes to business, is they are trying to force themselves to be something that they're not. You know, I always like to say to my coaching clients, penguins are meant to be in the cold. Tropical birds are meant to be in the tropics. It's like you need to stay in your lane, and that's when you shine, and that's when things seem easy and they flow. So assessing your strengths is really important in any goal-achieving process. Another great tool that I recommend for all of you, if you haven't heard of it, it's a really popular assessment. It's called the DISC assessment, D-I-S-C. And Adam, if anybody hasn't taken it, I can send you a link later that you could share with your team on taking the DISC. And I'd be happy to go over, Adam, like how to read it and how to do it super easy and simple to understand. But this is another great tool to get clarity on who you are as far as your strengths, and then as far as, okay, what do you know you need to leverage? Does that make sense? Everyone committed to discovering and becoming even more clear about your strengths and what you know you need to leverage as far as your weaknesses. Oh, brilliant. Say yes. I love the engagement. Awesome, Philip. Okay, so now that you know your strengths, and this is not only with like what you're good at, but your strengths are also your passions. So before I move on, I just want to make this one point on assessing your strengths. It's also important to know what you're passionate about. For example, I had a client in San Diego years ago. She came to me. She was only 22 years old. She was 90 pounds overweight. I was the last cookie in the jar before she was going to have surgery for her weight loss. And her parents were going to pay for it, but part of the deal was she had to do 3 months of coaching with me, and if it didn't work, then she was going to get surgery. And she kind of had an attitude. She really didn't want to do the coaching because she just wanted to get the surgery. So I was like, I made a deal with her as far as our coaching was concerned, that if we didn't make any progress by the 4th session, that she would be able to go to her parents. I would actually go to her parents and say, you know what, you just need to get the surgery. But she needed to play full out with me for the first 4 sessions, and that was the deal, is that she needed to be totally honest and vulnerable and real, and then she also needed to do her homework. Well, what ended up happening is this young girl, she worked out with a trainer. It didn't work. She tried home workout programs. She tried almost every single diet under the sun. I told her she could write a book on all the diet programs out there because she knew so much. And then somehow, I don't even remember how it came up, we were starting to talk about music, and she's like, have you ever listened to salsa music? And I said, no. And she goes, oh my gosh. And then she started like sending me all these YouTube videos about salsa music and salsa dancing. I'm like, oh my gosh, Jen, what, like, are you a salsa dancer? She goes, Mandy, I'm 90 pounds overweight. I'm not a salsa dancer. I would look ridiculous salsa dancing being 90 pounds overweight. So what I ended up doing is I recommended that she take a salsa course. And she's like, oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. Like, you take this, and if it doesn't work in a month, if you're not totally pumped and hooked, then you can have the surgery. So long story short, that's what Jen did. She ended up taking a salsa dancing class, and now she's actually an instructor down in San Diego, and she's hot. You would have never known that she was 90 pounds overweight. So I share that story with you to give you the example that the mistake that Jen was making on her journey to achieving weight loss was that she was trying all these things that she thought she should do. You know, I should just eat chicken and broccoli. I should go to the gym and work out. And none of it was working because she wasn't excited about it. It's human nature for us human beings. We want to do what feels good. Anybody could do anything for a short period of time, but it's what we do consistently that creates the lasting results that I know we all want. And so part of assessing your strengths and weaknesses is also looking at what are you doing that's really fun to achieve that result? Like, are you going to enjoy it? Because if you're not going to enjoy it, the chances of you achieving it are very, very low. Because we like to do things that feel good, and we don't like to do things that don't feel good. We're pretty simple as human beings that way. So all of those who are committed to finding a path to not only just achieving the result, but in a way that you can enjoy it, just like Jen did. Like she enjoyed losing that 90 pounds because she salsa danced it off because she was so passionate about salsa dancing. Okay, cool. All right, Stephen. All right, Petro, Philip, cool. So now that you know you've created an inspiring vision, we've omitted the stories, we've assessed your strengths and weaknesses. Now we're ready for the next C, which is create your rock star team. Create your rock star team. So goal achieving is a team sport. It's a team sport. Any goal that you want to achieve, whether it's a business goal around money and finances, success, or whether it's a personal goal around relationships or health, it's a team sport. So this doesn't just mean, you've probably all heard we need to surround ourselves with people that have those results. Yes, that's part of it, but what I'm also talking about here is who do you need on your team to achieve this result? For example, if you study extremely wealthy people, you guys know this, they have a rock star CPA, don't they? They have a rock star attorney. They usually have a rock star assistant. And so it's like, who do you need on your team? Because one of the mistakes that we all make is that we try and do everything ourselves. And so kind of going back to assessing your weaknesses, you do not want me to be your bookkeeper or your CPA. That's not Mandy's wheelhouse. It's not one of my strengths. So I actually hired a bookkeeper very early on because I knew I wasn't going to be good at it, and I knew also that energy of trying to learn bookkeeping and doing it was going to drain me. And so I know that in order to get the financial results that I wanted to achieve, I had to get a bookkeeper. And so it's like looking at, I would invite you for your homework assignment on creating your rockstar team is first to take inventory of your current team. So for example, if you're a business owner and you have an assistant that's really not a rock star, meaning you know they're a rock star when you're like, I can't live without them. Like, they are the best, and you could never leave me. That's when you know they're a rock star. Like, you are a raving fan of your CPA. Like, I've referred so many people to my CPA because he's awesome. He's strategic. He's aggressive, yet he follows the rules. He sets you up to win. He's creative. So I love, love, love my CPA, and I refer to people because I'm a raving fan. If you're not a raving fan of your team, that means they're not rock stars. And you need to take inventory, and you need to trade up. I know that may sound harsh, but this is your life. This is your business. You cannot afford to have C players on your team. So the first step is to take inventory. If you don't have rock stars on your team for 2017, Adam, I know, can help you be able to do what you need to do to have some of those tough conversations with your team to be able to let them go so that you can trade up. And then you need to make a list of who you know you need on your team for 2017. Does that make sense? Everybody say yes. Awesome. Cool. Mike, Steven, great. Logan, this is beautiful. Awesome. Yep. Rockstar story. Cool. So I really encourage all of you. And if you need help, like if you're like, I don't know, like I have a weight loss goal, who do I, need on my team? Talk to somebody that's really fit, and they'll let you know. You might need a nutritionist. You might need a trainer. So talk to people that have that result. I promise you, if they have the result that you want, they'll let you know who they have on their team. So cool. Now that you have your team, you're ready for the last step in the goal achieving process, H. H stands for hone and focus. Hone and focus. Because now you have your vision, you know what you want, you've got your movie scene, we've omitted the stories that are holding you back, you've assessed your strengths and weaknesses, so you know what you're great at, you know what you need to leverage. You have your team to support you, not only to hold you accountable, but to leverage out what you're not great at and to help you achieve the results. The only thing now that could hold you back from achieving the result you want is you getting distracted. And it sounds simple, but we live in a world full of constant distractions. So while you've been listening to me, if you guys haven't had your phone on airplane mode, I'm sure some of you have gotten a text or an email or a Skype message. We're constantly being interrupted and distracted. So hone and focus is about really honoring the block time you need to get the result you want. There is no such thing of achieving an incredible result, especially something like a lot of money in your business and increasing your net worth, without having block time. So what do I mean by block time? So block time is like you got 2 hours blocked, or like you blocked this time to attend this workshop today. So where there's no other interruptions, that block time where it's 100% focused. When my business partner and I, when we meet, we both put our phones on airplane mode, because I was actually the one guilty of whenever you hear a ding, you have to go look at your phone. You have to go see, oh, my mom texted me. And then guess what? You're distracted. And that interrupts the momentum. So one of the biggest gifts you can give yourself is making sure, like if you want to write a book, if you want to achieve, you want to 3x your income for 2017, then you got to look at your schedule and look at, okay, what is my block time? What's my revenue producing activity, right? And Adam can help you with what that looks like. And then, okay, so Monday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., that is my block time for my revenue producing activity. And making sure that that time correlates with your goal. So this is, again, something that Adam could help you with in regards to your business. If you have a goal of, in 2016, let's say you made $100,000 in 2016, and in 2017 you're like, I want to make $1 million, and you only have 5 hours a week blocked to make that $1 million in 2017, Adam will probably tell you it doesn't match, right? Like you need to have the time needs to match what the goal is, what it's going to take to achieve that goal. And working with a strategic coach on that can help give you that clarity. And so what you want to do with the hone and focus is you want to set yourself up to win, to not have any interruptions. So my husband's on vacation right now, and we have a new puppy, and I knew I was going to do this workshop with you guys, and I didn't want to get interrupted by the puppy or my husband, so they know like I have my door shut, and they're not going to interrupt me because I want to be 100% focused for you guys. So I set myself up to win, to not be interrupted. So what do you need to do for your block time to make sure that you're not interrupted and you can keep that hone and that focus? This is probably one of the biggest benefits and values of having a coach and a mentor and an accountability buddy. So if you don't have like an accountability buddy, someone that you check in every week, I have an accountability buddy who's a good friend of mine, and actually we're going to be talking after my workshop here with you guys today, and I got to share with him what I did and what I didn't do that was our goals since the last time we spoke 2 weeks ago. So staying in that conversation will also keep you focused. So does that sound good, you guys? So to recap, coach, C-O-A-C-H, create an inspiring vision. So you're going to do your homework as far as creating that movie scene and that future letter for yourself. You're going to read it when? First thing in the morning and right before you go to bed, and then you'll have it memorized. You'll just have to look at your piece of paper, your letter, and you'll know it. It'll be starting to download in your unconscious mind. You're also going to omit the stories that are holding you back. How do we do that? Is we replace them with the truth. We replace them with the stories that are going to truly inspire us. You're going to have 3 examples of real life people that you relate to that, wow, their story makes you go, huh, maybe my old story that I had really isn't true. And that's when you know it's working. And then step 3 is you're going to take a deep inventory as far as your strengths and your weaknesses. You can use tools like Marcus Buckingham's book, Now Discover Your Strengths, and Strengths Finder, the DISC assessment, as well as taking inventory of your passions and how you can use what you're passionate about to get the results that you want. And then C, creating the rockstar team. Remember, goal achieving is a team sport. We need a team. Who do you need on your team? And who do you maybe need to trade up who's on your team right now that you're not a raving fan of, that you know is not a rock star, to be able to replace them with the rock star that you deserve. And then H, hone and focus. So this is making sure that you have the block time in your schedule. It's blocked. You're setting yourself up to win. So whatever that means, putting your phone on airplane mode, telling your spouse to leave you alone for that time period, whatever it means to make sure that you're not interrupted, so you're not distracted, so you could stay focused on what you're doing. So that sound good to everybody? Any questions? Adam, I wanted to leave some time for any questions that you guys have. Feel free to ask anything around goal setting, mindset. David
Mandy,
says,
amazing.
thank you.
That was super, super cool. Thank you so much for being on here with us and going so in depth. That was awesome. Guys, if you do have any questions, I think Mandy's going to hang out for a couple minutes here. So if you have questions, then go ahead and fire away. And if not, oh, here we go. We got a couple questions coming. Can you see those, Mandy?
Yeah, so Mike says, when you create your vision and you have multiple areas of goals, aka health, money, relationships, do you write your movie to incorporate all of those or just one? That's a really great question. So here's what I've got. I have discovered that if you achieve the one goal that is like a thorn in your side, like it's keeping you up at night, there's usually a ripple effect, isn't there? Like if you achieve this one thing, it affects the other areas of your life, if you have a goal of, like if you are overweight and you're really unhealthy and you're eating processed foods and you're not working out, you know that if you achieve this goal of optimal health, it's going to impact your productivity in your business. You're going to be a better husband, wife, whatever. And so what I found is that it's best to start this process with one focus, because again, one of the biggest killers of progress is distraction. And it's so easy for our mind to get distracted on different goals. And I just found in coaching people, myself included, and my coaching clients, that although it sounds good, like, yeah, put everything you want on there, Mike, what I found is if you could pick one that you know is going to be a ripple effect of the others, and then once you get momentum with that one goal, now you can write a new future letter. But I found like just having that one focus, like if you guys notice when you watch a movie, the movie is usually about one thing, isn't it? It's about winning that football game. It's about finding that soulmate. It's about, you know, achieving that awesome body, whatever it is. It's usually one thing. So great question, Mike, because it's so important, you know, to really have that one focus. Paul says, I can't wait to write the letter. Awesome, Paul. I love that. Steven, what's the best mindset to have when running towards your goal full speed? Is nothing will stop me appropriate? What do you think? I love it. Yes. So, Steven, when it comes to the mindset of your goal, you want to be in a place of that it's already happened. So if you interview people that are incredible at achieving anything that they want, you notice their language. They never use words like, well, I hope I get this. I'll try. I'll do my best. No, they have language where like, yeah, this is what's going to happen. That's why your future letter is so powerful. So Steven's like, your future letter to yourself, dear Steven, you nailed it. You did it, man. And you want to write it, obviously, in language that you would talk to yourself normally. Like I started using the term crush it because Adam and I's mentor, Russell Brunson, he says crush it all the time. So in my letter, I'm like, Mandy, you crushed it. So you want to use words that resonate with you. Yes, Stephen, you're absolutely right. Not only do you want to have the mindset that nothing will stop you, what's even more powerful than that is the mindset that it's done. It's already happened. I'm just going through the motions. So I hope that makes sense. Cool. Phenomenal question, Mike. Cool. Thank you. Thanks for awesome, Stephen. Okay, Logan asks, in your process of becoming an incredibly successful coach, what were some of the more difficult obstacles you faced personally, and how did you eliminate them? Wow, Logan. Okay, you're making me really think today. So probably one of the most difficult obstacles that I faced personally as a coach, and how I eliminated them, was my first few years. I would get very frustrated with my clients if they didn't do what they said. And in my first few years, I would use, I'm not proud of this, but I would use like guilt and shame, because it was like, like, Logan, you didn't call her, or you didn't do it. It's like, okay, and what I discovered is that guilt and shame as a coach, it didn't work. Like, Logan, you wouldn't call me back. You'd no-show the next session. You wouldn't renew. And so one of the most difficult obstacles that I experienced as a success coach was getting too emotionally invested in my clients, whether they did it or not. And here's what's ironic, is it actually did a disservice to my clients when I ever used like guilt and shame, like, oh, Adam, you didn't do it, or, that didn't work. That wasn't effective for Adam. And so what I realized is that when I was like, oh, interesting, when I got curious why Adam didn't do or follow through on his action, when I got curious, instead of using guilt and shame, then that is what helped us discover about, okay, it either is something with Adam's psychology, or Adam needs help with strategy. And, I discovered early on that, if guilt and shame worked, if you guys think about this, we tend to beat ourselves up, right? Like, we tend to, oh, you didn't work out, or I can't believe you ate that last night, or whatever it was. And so if guilt and shame worked, we wouldn't need coaches, right? We would be out of a job, because we already use that on ourselves, or our family tends to do that sometimes with ourselves. So great question, Logan. What I really discovered is that being curious instead of using guilt and shame works for us as coaches as well as for ourselves. So instead of beating yourself up about, oh, you should have done that, instead be curious of like, I wonder what prevented me from following through, or I wonder how I can be able to not do that next time. Does that make sense? Okay, awesome. Logan, so are you saying an action step would be ask more specific questions as to why they weren't executing? Exactly. Logan, you nailed it. So it's like, Logan, I would ask you, Logan, what prevented you from making those calls? What prevented you from blocking that time to write that book? And it might be logistic. Like sometimes it's, well, my in-laws came into town and I didn't know they were coming. My wife didn't tell me, and I wasn't able to spend that time. Then it's a logistical block. Then, okay, let's not have a lot of emotion about it. We're going to reschedule it, and we'll do it next time. And then if there's a pattern, then we know, okay, then there might be something psychologically going on. But sometimes it's just logistics, and we just need to reschedule. But yes, that's a great question to ask. Cool. Adam, do you have any questions?
No, I don't think so. I did have a question. If the people listening to this want to stay around you, let's say they want to read your new book, or they want to, do you have something that they could stay in contact, like a podcast or an email list or a website or a Facebook page or something that they could stay around your circle and see what's going on in your life?
Oh, you bet. I would be honored. So two ways. I'm easy to find on Facebook, Mandy Keene, coach, professional coach Mandy Keene. If you like Facebook, if you ever want to email me, if you want to be, my business partner and I are going to be launching in March our podcast show along with our book. So if you want to have a heads up on that, you can email me Mandy, M-A-N-D-Y, at results, RESULTSNIN coaching.com. So Mandy at resultsandcoaching.com is my email address if you guys want me to put you on our email list for when our podcast and our book comes out next March. But if you want to communicate or follow me on Facebook, I'm Coach Mandy Keene.
Awesome. Mandy, thank you so much. You've went above and beyond, as always. We love you. We love your energy and all the strategy here today. Thank you again so much. Everybody, will you comment in the chat box here and show Mandy some love? Tell her thank you.
You guys are awesome. It was my pleasure. It's my joy. I love this conversation. So I would love to encourage all of you to follow through on this homework, and then when I have my coaching session with Adam, I would love for him to be able to brag about you guys and share how you guys are really embracing your inspiring vision and omitting your stories, incorporating the truth, and creating your team and really focusing on that goal on a consistent basis. So I look forward to hearing your success stories from Adam.
Right on, Mandy. Thank you so much. We all appreciate you a ton.
My pleasure.
And everybody else, we'll talk to you all soon. Have an amazing New Year's Eve, and we'll see you in 2017.
Awesome,
Bye,
guys.
everybody.
Happy New Year.